Hello, it's a lovely good evening and welcome to Camnet TV News to present. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Our top stories in the news tonight: former Religious Affairs Minister Godfrida Sumaili is against the removal of the defamation of the President's law in the Constitution. President Hakainde Hichilema meets Pope Francis in Rome, reaffirming his commitment to working with the Church. A male adult of LUSAKA'S CHIPATA compound dies after choosing alcohol over medical treatment. It's international news: Tanzania's main opposition leader FREEMAN MBOWE to stand trial for terrorism. And in sports news, ZESCO United beat NKANA 2-1 in the Zambia MTN Super League.
Are you a qualified and skilled marketing person? Have you got the passion and motivation as a marketer? Camnet TV is looking for self-motivated, qualified marketers. For more details, please call 0962 965 883 or send your details to the email info@camnettvafrica.com. Remember that Camnet TV is not just another channel.
Camnet TV is becoming big and better. You can now watch Camnet TV wherever you are around the world, simply by downloading the Camnet TV app. With Camnet TV app, you only use less bundles. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
A male of LUSAKA'S CHIPATA compound fell dead Saturday morning near a named drinking spot after insisting on taking alcohol despite his ill health and refusing to seek medical attention. According to residents, the said man has been frequenting the local drinking place for the past 2 days despite complaining of being unwell. Meanwhile, a medical doctor, Naeem Dawood, has warned against high levels of alcohol abuse in the country, which he says necessitates more awareness about the dangers of alcohol. More in this report.
Excessive use of alcohol is likely to lead to serious health problems like liver damage, heart disease, and problems in the brain and nervous systems. It can also lead to changes in behavior, which can result in violence or accidents. If not monitored, alcohol abuse can end up in death. Zambia has been identified as one of the countries with high intakes of alcohol and ranked the highest in the region in 2018, according to the Euromonitor report of the said year. This vice has been termed as one of the major causes for marital disputes and one of the leading causes of poverty in Zambia. A man of Chipata compound in Lusaka fell dead on the road Saturday morning a few meters from a tavern where he had gone on a drinking spree despite complaining of being sick for the past 2 days. Residents have narrated what happened.
Vavina mchipiara vavina maningi after watoka muta wezoenda kuona popata after wagona pata vile wapande mwezo ziratanya mkane ndani kliniki ndekoze kunyamuka waenda so paka nyumba pata ndekoze kuamusa ko zigi batseko na manzi ndekoze kumwalira baje bamu uzamukamba chikirawo abuira asunda namfunsa ungamba nchani sense ndiste mweta wazokolewa tiawo sinakolewa sinimbera musha sombera musha nimwezangalira chipansa ngala pansa time amena pa tamgula poka zigi ndigana kapa boni tambuga pona tuzigu zamkamba mwapo maybe azakupuluka umuntu atambusobera na bagai time daboye guys jamkamba agone time Mwana ngoma transaction watumira wa polisi temdema polisi abuya ni mwana mtengera ujamkamba ujamuntu nampeza rigoni pataveni pacha pa pinkilo achikonkili so after nafika before karibu kusegura ba nampeza pamene pacha rigoni namufunsa aize kamba mushemushi ino time wapezeka bwanyo time wagona pamene apati yai ndi pamene naboye bali naona amba uchosa chibi sweet ndipo mene nenze na muzanje bamdara imwe kwa tsimu bela mushe ndani kliniki ya inzaenda
indani kliniki ya nzaini after na segura taveni abwirangena mukati futi namukonka futi nje omdala indani kliniki ageni bakana nzainda indani kliniki nzainda ndipo mene manje zatuma alipo ofunta Richard bauze kwa mdala bachoke panja baende kliniki ngati balimbe dalama ya kliniki nzaba pasangine nibaperekeze ndipo mene zachokera pachoka chepaja indako che mostly 70 meters from there up to here. Ndipo mene mpavu zamusirira ise twaona kwataenda kliniki kashabwela kono ndipo mene aferira.
A medical doctor, Naim Dalau, has cautioned against alcohol abuse.
In our country here in Zambia, we are talking about substances such as alcohol. A lot of our people have started drinking alcohol excessively. Homes are being turned into drinking places, and because of that there are a lot of concerns. With alcohol also comes a lot of social concerns in homes. Relationships are being stressed. Children are being abused emotionally and physically by parents who are equally overwhelmed.
Various stakeholders have been calling for programs aimed at raising awareness on the dangers of drug and alcohol abuse, stating that this should be rolled out in every community across the country. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The youths of Kabata constituency have bemoaned the defunct state of the Kabata Skills Development Center, which they say puts them at risk of substance and alcohol abuse due to the lack of productive activities to venture in within the constituency. Speaking to Camnet News, the youths state that previously they could acquire skills such as carpentry and tailoring and were hoping for the center to be revamped, especially with the increase in the Constituency Development Fund CDF from 1.6 million kwacha to 25.7 million kwacha.
Skills centers are essential to the development of any country as they train citizens in various crafts that are used in many sectors of the economy. These are also helpful in curbing high levels of crime, drug, as well as alcohol abuse in countries like Zambia, where the vast population are youths, coupled with high unemployment levels. It is for this reason that concerned stakeholders have been advocating for the revamping of skills centers. The defunct Kabata Skills Development Center in Lusaka, however, has been a highly politicized issue in the past 6 months, as some political players such as the Republican Progressive Party RPP, which is part of the United Party for National Development UPND Alliance, have been alleging that the skills center was personalized by former Kabata lawmaker Mr. Given Luvinda.
So we demand that this money should go back to the youths of Kabata constituency. Mr. Luvinda used this and is using the Constituency Development Fund. The other buildings that are on that land were constructed using the Constituency Development Fund. It is not given Luvinda's money. No, it is our money. It is the youth money from this constituency.
Mr. Luvinda is, however, on record denying the allegations.
I'm saying I don't respond to such flimsy allegations. I tell them that I don't respond to such flimsy allegations.
Some youth spoken to within the constituency say they were hoping for the skills center to be revamped, especially with the increase of Constituency Development Fund CDF from 1.6 million kwacha to 25.7 million kwacha so that they can acquire various skills.
We need to acquire ourselves in some of the things that they do here. We need to be doing catering and carpentry. So we don't know how we're going to be manage it, because this property is for government, but us here we are not even benefiting anything. For us, what we just need for government is to help us. We don't want to find ourselves in drug abuse, like drinking alcohol, smoking dagga, doing such things. That's not good for us. As youth, what we want just development here.
Meanwhile, Area Councillor Mr. Mainda Simata says he will on Monday, 21st February 2022, report Mr. Luvinda to the Anti-Corruption Commission ACC for what he has termed as corrupt acts.
And as council, I'm saying we are not going to stand for that. So beginning next week, we are going to make sure to say that this place is sealed off. We are not going to allow any kind of activity to take place at this center until ownership is retained the people of Kamwala, and it is used for its original purpose as a community facility, and in particular to be used as a skill center and or a play park for the community. So we are going to make a follow-up with the immigration department. We are also going to make up a follow-up with the Kamwala Secondary School, where one of the board members called Mr. Given Luenshi is a board member. We don't know in what capacity a teacher in the government can be also sitting on the board of this particular facility. So we are going to make those follow-ups, and we're going to get to the bottom of this issue.
Meanwhile, Camnet News will continue to monitor the development of this story until it reaches its conclusion. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Former Guidance and Religious Affairs Minister Godfrida Sumaili is opposed to the removal of the clause on defamation of the president in the Republican Constitution. According to Reverend Sumaili, removing this clause will spur indiscipline among the Zambian citizens and the disrespect for the highest office of the land. Meanwhile, GEAR's Initiative Executive Director McDonald Chipenzi says this development is welcome, adding that the defamation of the president law is an infringement on people's rights. More in this report.
Defamation of the president law as enshrined in the Republican Constitution has seen many spend time in jail, especially political figures who speak out against the president. Defamation of the president is provided for under Section 69 of the Penal Code Act, Chapter 87 of the laws of Zambia. Under that provision, it is an offence attracting a sentence of imprisonment of not exceeding 3 years for any person found guilty of the offence. Calls have been made to amend the Penal Code, to which the defamation clause falls under. Recently, the Zambia Law Development Commission proposed a new Penal Code which recommends for the removal of the controversial law on the defamation of the president. Patriotic Front Chairperson for Information, Raphael Nakachinda, is a good example of one currently facing this charge.
Good thing that I'm happy about is as a result of the debate around this matter. There is already a debate in the nation in relation to the constitutionality of this charge itself. There are even proposals, I think the Law Development Commission did submit to the Minister of Justice the need to have some of these laws amended so that our democracy can thrive and the citizens should have free expression of what they think is inimical to the interests of the Zambian people.
But former Religious Affairs Minister Godfrida Sumaili is of the view that the defamation of the president should be maintained.
The proposed amendment will open our Christian nation to wanton sexual immorality, abortions, and multiple marriage partners. This will threaten family values and our Christian heritage. The will of the majority of Zambians to declare Zambia as a Christian nation anchored on Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior of our nation must be respected. Our national values and principles enshrined in the Constitution, Part 2, Article 8, which speak into the laws that we legislate, should be respected as we are a nation of laws.
But using a different lens, GEAR's initiative agrees with the observation in the report on the Penal Code review compiled by the Zambia Law Development Commission that the defamation law should be repealed and should be regarded as a civil matter.
The Penal Code of Zambia has been one of the thorny laws that has been injurious to the growth of our democracy. And the recommendations, among them, the repeal of the section that talks about defamation of the president, that law in itself is a bad law in a democracy, is a well-received recommendation. The recommendation that we should do away with the provision that talks about, that criminalizes criticizing a dignitary, a prince, a foreign prince, like Queen Elizabeth or Prince George or whoever, or even the Leopolds, if he's still existing, it's also a very bad thing. It's against freedom of expression and freedom of opinion. The seditious laws that they have also recommended that they should go, that is a commendable job.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Kabushi Member of Parliament Bowman Lusambo has revealed ambitions of becoming a president of the Republic of Zambia, but not under the Patriotic Front Party. Mr. Lusambo has told Camnet News in an interview that he desires to retire from active politics after occupying the highest office in the land. More in the following report.
The 2021 general elections in Zambia were one of the most heavily contested elections, with 16 candidates having contested for the highest political office of the land. At the end of the day, Zambia decided who they wanted to see lead them in the next 5 years, which triggered down to the United Party for National Development leader Hakainde Hichilema, who is now the country's president, emerged victorious. However, the number of those eyeing for the highest office of the land is now increasing, with Kabushi Member of Parliament Bowman Lusambo joining the race. Mr. Lusambo says he has desires of retiring from active politics after becoming the president of Zambia.
In my political journey, the last office I want to occupy is the office of the presidency. So that office is not for Hakainde Hichilema. No, it's the office for the people of Zambia, all Zambians, including you and my friend, the camera person here. You are at liberty to vie for that for that office. It's not up to President Hakainde Hichilema to decide who goes in that office. It's about the people of Zambia.
And when asked if he will contest to take over the Patriotic Front Party, Mr. Lusambo says he has no desires of taking over as party president for the PF, neither will he become president of this country under the Patriotic Front.
Me, I'm not contesting for the presidency in the Patriotic Front, but I will be the president of this country one day. If God allows it, I will be the president of this country. But I'm not contesting for presidency in the PF.
Zambia is a democratic country where every citizen has an opportunity to become who they want, including becoming the president of the country without discrimination. Prudence Jota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
United Party for National Development, UPND Kabata Member of Parliament Andrew Tayengo's campaign manager has laughed at the Patriots for Economic Progress decision to petition the Kabata parliamentary by-election. Chilekwa Munkonge is surprised to see some political parties petition Mr. Tayengo's victory when they did not even perform to expectation. Mr. Munkonge says Kabata by-election was one of the most peaceful elections in the country and has wondered on which grounds the victory to Mr. Tayengwa is being challenged. He, however, says it is anyone's constitutional right to seek a court ruling whenever they are aggrieved.
I'm just not disappointed, but I know that's their constitutional right, that whoever feel aggrieved can petition. But I'm sure everyone and Zambians in particular are all aware that Kabata was one of the very peaceful campaigns ever in the history of by-elections in Zambia. Kabata was so peaceful, there was no one who was using vulgar language, and in fact, if anything, all the political parties were interacting freely and joking freely. So to learn that one of our colleagues has gone to court, yes, that's their constitutional right. They can go to court, and maybe we hear their petition, the backgrounds. I can assure you that there was no any violence in the Kabata constituency. Neither did we use any vulgar language, apart from maybe joking, things like that. But for the people of Kabata, let's be calm and see where this thing is going. But again, you see even the people are petitioning, you look at the statistics, the number which they are coming, then it will give you a story.
Zambia's Republican President Hakainde Hichilema has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to working with the Catholic Church and all other religious faiths in Zambia to foster development. Speaking when he met the Pontiff Saturday morning at the Vatican, President Hichilema praised Pope Francis for the Catholic Church's unwavering support to Zambia. In a meeting with Pope Francis in Rome, President Hichilema says matters of mutual interest were discussed. President Hichilema noted that Zambia is grateful for the Catholic Church's unwavering commitment to the development of Zambia and its citizens in all areas of human endeavors. For almost 130 years, it's been operating in Zambia. He said of particular interest to Zambia is that Pope Francis comes from the Jesuit order, a branch of the Catholic clerics that has had a profound influence on Zambia's education system for over a century. The head of state therefore reiterated Zambia's resolve to working with the church in fostering development and improving the people's livelihoods. Ministry of Information and Media Director spokesperson Tabo Kawana has clarified that the proposed names of the National Broadcasters board members are subject to ratification by Parliament. Mr. Kawana notes that the public has gone on rampage disparaging the minister's announcement, adding that the names were released in the spirit of transparency. He explains that according to the law, the board of directors for the national broadcaster needs to be ratified but can be announced awaiting ratification. On Friday, the information minister released names of proposed ZNBC board members. Among them is Dante Saunders, a veteran politician. Meanwhile, Mr. Kawana has re-echoed the government's commitment to ensuring that the media is protected in both the private media houses on remuneration and conditions of service.
Is announced as the names of the people going to Parliament for ratification. So it has not been inaugurated. Those are the names going to Parliament for ratification. And in keeping with our administration, we make sure that there's transparency and the people of Zambia are carried along with whatever we are doing. So the names were announced yesterday, and the people of Zambia now will know that these are the names going to Parliament for ratification. Parliament was already written to by the ministry, and we shall await for the names to be ratified. That is when the board will be inaugurated. There's nothing strange in what has happened. There's no abrogation of the ZNBC Act or any law at all. As you are aware, even in the past, it's practice. You all know who will be the Bank of Zambia governor. They are announced, but they don't take office. We wait until Parliament ratifies, or who the Attorney General is. We wait until Parliament ratifies, and until Parliament does so, then they are sworn in and they take office. Similarly, the names of the people going to occupy ZNBC board have been announced. Then they are going to Parliament for ratification. Then they will be inaugurated as a board. So there's nothing strange with what the minister has done, and therefore we want to urge our political commentators and social commentators that there is totally no abrogation of any law here, either the ZNBC Act or the Constitution. We remain committed to look into the welfare of journalists. And the minister has been very, very emphatic that she wants to see journalists that are not only protected, but are well remunerated. As you know, a hungry journalist is a danger to society. And therefore, those that have money can propagate what they want by paying off the journalists, in keeping with the adage of he that pays the piper calls the tune. So we still want to urge the media owners that they must look into the fact that they need to remunerate the journalists well.
The Parliamentary Accounts Committee Chairperson Warren Mwambazi says there is need to follow procedure and guidelines in government procurement processes. Speaking during the capacity building workshop for the Public Accounts Committee, Mr. Mwambazi says the role of PAC is to ensure that there is prudent management of public resources. He notes that the procurement process needs to follow the Public Procurement Act, the Financial Regulations and the Public Finance Act to ensure accountability. Mr. Mwambazi, who is also Bwana Mkubwa Member of Parliament, says this will help citizens to access the much-needed service delivery. And speaking at the same event, Deputy Clerk of the National Assembly Administration, Roy Ngulube, has encouraged members of the committee to identify key issues to follow up with the Secretary to the Treasury as Chief Controlling Officer.
It's important as a Public Accounts Committee, looking at our role, giving an oversight to the executive to ensure that there's prudential management of public resources. And it starts with us. It doesn't end on with us. Also to ensure that there's an improvement in accountability and transparency in terms of public financial management. That is our role as Public Accounts Committee. Fellow honorable members present here, I want to thank you for participating in this workshop. I also want to thank the European Union for the support it is rendering to the National Assembly of Zambia and the country at large.
The audit report that is before the committee for consideration is unique in the sense that it highlights accountability challenges when government is faced with an emergency or a crisis situation. In the recent past, as you are aware, a number of countries, including Zambia, have faced many forms of emergencies, and this includes floods, droughts, and of course the much talked about COVID-19 pandemic.
The Cleaners Association of Zambia President Lawrence Makumbi has expressed disappointment at the conduct of a landlord in Lusaka's Kalingalinga compound who evicted a family of 8, leaving them in the cold. Mr. Makumbi says the behavior of Masiye Piri is against the law, which states that a tenant should be given 3 months early notice to vacate the premises before he can take action. Mr. Makumbi says his organization will give the affected family temporal support and has appealed to the woman's employer, believed to be a cabinet minister, to pay the woman her dues. And the affected woman, Febi Mwachimbeya, says since the day of her eviction, she has been looking for shelter but has been unable to find one. More in the following report.
Of this woman of Lusaka's Kalingalinga compound who was evicted from a house she has rented since 2020 by her landlord has caught the attention of the Cleaners Association of Zambia. The woman was on Thursday, 17th February 2022, evicted from a home belonging to a man identified as Masiye Piri, who used an organization called Tenant and Landlords of Umtendere to have his tenants' belongings removed from the house. The woman and 8 other family members have spent their last 2 nights in the cold as they have been unable to find a temporary shelter despite searching for 2 solid days.
Mpako sina kani kuchoka mnyumba mwao koma nyumba ndiye amenepezeka ikaribe kupezeka sina kani nyumba ndiye yao but ndrama nibe maliazi ali yonse sibafuna kubauza po chintu chili chonse nishi nikukalipa.
And Cleaners Association of Zambia President Lawrence Makumbi, who visited the family Saturday morning, is disappointed at what he has found.
Evicted in a Kalingalinga compound and their goods are being soaked. They are sleeping in the open. We were worried and we came to see what is on the ground. Our findings have revealed that the cleaner that is being evicted right now is a worker at one of the named places around Kalingalinga and is working for a minister. The woman, our lady here, is our cleaner who is now languishing in the middle of the rainy season, staying outside with more than 4 children. They are getting soaked. Yesterday's rain soaked them whilst they are sitting outside.
Mr. Makumbi has also appealed to the named cabinet minister, who is the woman's employer, to come to her rescue before the woman loses all her belongings to the rains.
We are calling upon our leaders to lead by example. If they are going to lead this country, they must lead by example. They must pay their salaries on time. Hence, this is just one of the rare cases, one of the cases that happens to our cleaners in Zambia. We ask that most of these cleaning companies, most of those that have engaged cleaning companies to perform cleaning services for them, they must make sure that they pay these companies on time, because the companies also pay workers such as these to make sure that they stay in their houses and they are also comfortable.
The law in Zambia that guides how landlords are supposed to operate does not seem to be effectively being followed, thereby subjecting many families to torture. Government needs to ensure that implementation of certain laws are adequately dealt with to avoid people abusing their powers unnecessarily. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
We'll take a break. We'll be back with more news after the break. Stay with us.
You know I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, man. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance.
but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the machine.
There's so much data.
Mom.
Yes, baby.
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow!
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
Are you a talented and gifted soccer player? Camnet Stars will be conducting trials for young players between the age of 14 and 16 years. You never know, you could be America or Europe bound this July.
We need to pick some players so that we can come up with a very powerful squad which is supposed to travel outside the country and do a lot of work for Zambian football.
Venue, Kablonga Boys Secondary School Playgrounds. Time, 14 hours. You could be the next big soccer star in Europe. See you this Sunday, 20th February 2022.
On Monday, 21st February 2022, on National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba as he hosts Given Luwinda, the Patriotic Front acting president.
For 10 years, you proved the Zambian people that you are capable of delivering. And yes, by the will of God, if it is indeed the will of God, you have been asked to reflect. Members of the Patriotic Front, wherever you are, identify each other. Stand together. Stand in support of each other. Be each other's brother skipper.
Don't miss at exactly 20:45 hours as they discuss various national matters.
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, and text messages. Make a date with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. We continue with the news. The Civil Servants and Allied Workers Union of Zambia says it will not stand with any civil servants, such as council workers, who will be found trying to misappropriate the Constituency Development Fund (CDF). In an interview, Union General Secretary Mr. Makai has advised civil servants not to bow to pressure from any political figure who may try to use them to channel this money for other purposes than its intended use. He explains that it is the only way the country's development at grassroots level can be guaranteed, urging all civil servants who will be part of those handling the funds to behave professionally.
We are talking about the CDF, which has been given guidelines on how it is supposed to be used. So what we want to advise the public service workers is, can they abide and perform their responsibilities based on the guidelines which have been given? If they depart from that, of course there will be consequences. And at that point, when somebody is arrested or somebody is dismissed, as a civil servant, as a union, we shall distance ourselves from such misconduct. We shall distance ourselves from such misconduct because the rules and the regulations have been given. So those executing individuals, those end users who have privilege of this privilege to make sure that the intended goal of the CDF is achieved, should make sure that they administer the activities within the boundaries of the guidelines that have been given.
Kafua Member of Parliament Miriam Chonya has revealed that the number of recipients on the social cash transfer has more than doubled in the last 2 years, from 3,038 beneficiaries in 2020 to 7,000 in 2022. Speaking to Camnet News, the Kafua lawmaker has challenged caregivers of vulnerable people to ensure that this money is invested into small businesses to generate a small profit in order to make it more sustainable. She adds that out of the 7,634 are persons with disabilities, which shows a positive trajectory.
From the previous 3,338 beneficiaries in 2020, this year now we are talking about 700,000, we are talking about 7,000 beneficiaries from 3,338 on the program, of which 634 of these are persons with disabilities. You can see again here government's commitment into dealing with the plight of our less privileged people in society. And this is why, the other program that government is implementing, which is the removal of subsidies, is quite an important one. Of course, the effort is to ensure that there's cost reflectivity in the cost of goods and services. But ultimately, that is helping to provide the much needed funds for the free education that we've talked about, for the social cash transfer that we've talked about, and that is providing a safety net for our vulnerable groups in society.
Good Life Mobile Hair Cutting Organization has urged citizens not to shy away from helping street kids, even with a service, if they do not have resources to give out. Limbikani Nyirenda, who spoke when he visited the street kids, where he offered to give them haircuts, says the streets are full of young people with talent, which can be utilized if well empowered. He says most young people on the street need a voice to encourage them and not to demean them. He has since appealed to the government and other stakeholders to identify a need of the children on the street which they can solve even without having to spend so much money.
Helping a person is not about a lot of money. These young people need a little, even the word of mouth, encouragement. They need everything that the community out there can give to these children. It's not about a lot of money. What we are doing here is just simply giving them a haircut and talking to them. And the most thing that we are here to do is to talk to them. So I'm calling upon each and everyone, all of the people out there, anything you have, come to their aid. They truly need you. Government to build structures where these young people can be sleeping, and also try to reunite some of the young people. Some of the young people here have got parents.
Health Minister Sylvia Masebo says government will this month advertise for jobs for all health workers. She says the circular will be released soon, advising all health personnel who are working on voluntary basis to apply for the jobs. The minister said this in Katete, Eastern Province, at St. Francis Hospital during her familiarization tour of the health facility. The jobs are in line with the government's announcement that over 11,000 health workers will be recruited in 2022. The minister has since reaffirmed government's commitment towards the improvement of healthcare service delivery countrywide. Thank you for watching Camnet TV News. We'll take another break, and after that we'll have international and sports news.
We welcome you to the wonderful world of Savenda Electronics.
At Savenda Electronics, we pride ourselves in manufacturing high-quality electricity and water meters.
Boasting of the first of its kind state-of-the-art manufacturing plant in Zambia, ZAMBIA Electronics manufactures customized smart electricity and water meters of international standards for both the local and international water and electricity utility companies. Our highly computerized factory, run by qualified staff, makes, calibrates, and electronically tests the smart meters to ensure only those meeting customer specifications are delivered to the market. Some of the main features which come with our meters includes notifications about low units, tempering, low battery, and many more customized features. ZAMBIA Electronics provides on and off-site after-sales service and has favorable contract terms for water and electricity utility companies. ZAMBIA Electronics, the real deal.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes, and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Are you a qualified and skilled marketing person? Have you got the passion and motivation as a marketer? Camnet TV is looking for self-motivated, qualified marketers. For more details, please call 0962 965 883 or send your details to the email info@camnettvafrica.com. Remember that Camnet TV is not just another channel.
On Monday, 21st February 2022, on National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba as he hosts Given Luwinda, the Patriotic Front Acting President.
For 10 years, you proved the Zambian people that you are capable of delivering. And yes, by the will of God, if it is indeed the will of God, you have been asked to reflect. Members of the Patriotic Front, wherever you are, identify each other. Stand together. Stand in support of each other. Be each other's brother's keeper.
Don't miss at exactly 20:45 hours as they discuss various national matters.
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, and text messages. Make a date with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
In international news, the leader of Tanzania's main opposition party will stand trial for terrorism. A High Court judge ruled Friday in a case his supporters brand a politically motivated move to crush dissent. Chadema party chairman Freeman MBOWE was arrested last July 21, along with a number of other senior party officials in a nighttime police raid just hours before they were to hold a public forum to demand constitutional reforms in the East African country. The 60-year-old, who has accused police of torturing him during nearly 7 months in custody, was charged with terrorism, financing, and conspiracy. After prosecutors finished filing evidence against MBOWE earlier this week, speculation mounted that the court in Dar es Salaam might release the politician, ending a saga which has raised concern about the state of democracy and rule of law under President Samia Suluhu Hassan. Here's a roundup of international news.
Leader of Tanzania's main opposition party, Freeman MBOWE, will stand trial for terrorism in a case his supporters brand a politically motivated move to crush dissent. A High Court judge gave the ruling Friday. The Chadema party chairperson was arrested last July 21, along with a number of other senior party officials in a nighttime police raid, hours before they were to hold a public forum to demand constitutional reforms. We have received the ruling with big disappointment. Today we were expecting to be able to leave with our party chairman to go to our headquarters for celebrations. Unfortunately, the judge's ruling was unfair. Crowds of supporters cheered MBOWE as he arrived at the court, with representatives from foreign embassies also present at the hearing. We will not give up or lose hope. MBOWE is our chairman and he is like a father to our party. We will make sure that his rights are respected. This is not the end. We will continue to fight until our president is released. We had great expectations based on how the case hearing was conducted. We thought that he could have won and we'd be able to live with our leader. It is really hurting us. The next hearing is scheduled for March 4 when MBOWE and the other suspects will open their defense.
The Democratic Republic of Congo has reiterated on the need to recognize and better the lives of youths on the African continent during the just concluded EU and African Union Summit. Speaking to African News, the DRC Prime Minister Jean-Michel Sama Lukonde highlighted other several issues like vaccine production on the continent and further call on the strengthening of the EU-AU bilateral partnership in the future. Of course, the main issue was peace, security, the financing of projects, not only at the level of infrastructure, but especially youth entrepreneurship, because here it was a real question of young people, women, young girls, but more to finish with this support that we must have in relation to vaccine coverage, especially with the possibility of having vaccine production as it is today in certain African countries. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, by extending it to other diseases like malaria, tuberculosis. This is what we expected, and we think we are heading in the right direction, especially in bilateral, regional, and ultimately EU-Africa Union relations. 6 African countries have been chosen to establish their own mRNA vaccine production, the World Health Organization said Friday, with the continent largely shut out of access to COVID jabs.
As the European Union and the African Union sealed a renewed partnership in Brussels on Friday, Uganda's Minister for Foreign Affairs, General JJ Odongo, has hailed the interesting conversation during the joint summit. General Odongo said the two regions, EU and AU, are developing a new approach on business. General Odongo was speaking on the sidelines of the summit on Friday in an exclusive interview.
It gave us an opportunity to share quite a number of areas of interest, matters relating to security on the African continent, matters relating to development, matters relating to trade, coping with environment and coping with the effects of COVID. So it was a very interesting conversation that we have held in these past 2 days. The general ethos, the general feeling throughout the meeting and after was that we were developing a new approach on how to do business together. So there is something new in all of this.
Reacting to a recent statement from the EU condemning the use of torture and the violations to human rights in Uganda, the foreign minister admitted that certain actions have happened, but says investigations have been carried out.
Yes, certain actions have happened, we regret them, but the good news is that we do not sweep it under the carpet. We take action on those who have perpetrated those actions. We have carried out investigations. We've been able to prosecute some people. We've even sentenced some people to death on account of their actions, and we are continuing to carry out investigations in order to be able to bring to book all of those people involved in those actions.
The East African nation's foreign minister also spoke on the joint offensive by Ugandan and Congolese troops against the ADF rebels in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The Ugandan Army, UPDF, recently opened the third offensive route against the rebels operating in Ituri provinces and North Kivu as part of Operation Shuja.
I think since we launched in December, it's been going on fairly well. We've continued to take out a number of ADF bases, which had grown into relatively very permanent bases because they looked very properly constructed. We've taken out a number of those bases. We've been able to capture many of the ADF fighters. We've been able to rescue some of the children that had been abducted and been trained.
Uganda was part of the 27 countries that took part in the summit and pledged to launch a global investment strategy with at least 150 billion euros over 7 years to cater for projects in transport infrastructure, digital networks and energy.
Let's now have some sports news. Sports news, ZESCO United beat NKANA 2-1 in the game of the week with goals from Oduru and Chingandu. Obash scored NKANA's only goal from the penalty spot. Green Eagles' fine form continues as they put pressure on the leaders Red Arrows after beating Kabwe Warriors by 2-1. Elsewhere, Konkola Blades beat relegation rivals Chambishi by 1-0. Buildcon was away at Nkwazi and won by a 0-0 scoreline. Green Buffaloes won back-to-back games after beating relegation-threatened Indeni by 2-1. Kansachi Dynamo's push to stay up continues as they beat Kafia Celtics 3-2 in Solwezi. Camnet Stars has beaten PSA Academy by 1-0 in a Week 7 encounter of the first Lusaka Province Zone 2 Under-19. The match, which kicked off at 15 hours, saw Camnet Stars take a lead but wasted a few chances to score more goals. Camnet Stars assistant coach Maybin Walia is happy that the lads have continued to play well, hoping for the same in the next encounter. He has, however, acknowledged that the opponents, PSA, have equally given a spirited fight despite losing.
Now we had a nice game. The guys, I think they gave us a nice game. We are happy for them. I think next time we'll do better. Even if we haven't scored any score, it is 1-0. Next time we'll do better. But we had a nice game. We had a nice play. Thank you so much for this day. Thank you for the team, for the coaches to be here today. We are happy for you. At least we have made us. At least we have seen a change.
Yeah, the game was tough. Even our opponents, they have got the better side. They played well. From the wait goal, they played well. We also fought hard until we got a goal, and we have carried 3 points. And I'm sure next game we are going to win again. We'll continue actually winning. Yes.
To end Camnet News, we take a look at stories making headlines once again. Former Religious Affairs Minister against the removal of the defamation of the President law in the Constitution. President Hakainde Hichilema meets Pope Francis in Rome, reaffirming his commitment to working with the Church. A male adult of LUSAKA'S CHIPATA compound dies after choosing alcohol over medical treatment. In international news, Tanzania's main opposition leader, FREEMAN MBOWE, to stand trial for terrorism. And in sports news, ZESCO United beat NKANA by 2-1 in the Zambia MTN Super League. We now look at the Camnet verse for the day, coming from Psalms 91, verse 7-8. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. You will only observe with your eyes and see the punishment of the wicked. Thank you for watching Camnet TV Main News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Good night.